What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Fight Within podcast. Today's guest is 7-year NFL veteran Nick Dzubnar, who's also a Mission Viejo High School alumni.
Yep.
And that's where I coach now. Football. Not hockey.
Yeah, huh?
Football.
Hockey?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We always banter back and forth when I say
Well, we'll get into hockey then too. Yeah.
Let's do it. Oh, no!
Yes. He always tries to say we're pansies, right? And I'm
No,
like, man,
ice fairies.
we do
Dude, you're nuts.
See?
You're nuts, bro.
I literally told him, I was like, we do everything you guys do, but on a butter knife.
Oh, because we'll get into it now because you kind of
Yeah, let's do it.
like everything
right now.
everything I attribute my success as far as football goes
Yeah.
and life all stem from hockey.
You play
All right,
hockey?
cool.
Yeah,
This
I grew up
interview's
playing
over,
ice hockey,
guys.
yeah.
We'll see you guys
Yeah,
later.
exactly right. So coming out, getting into college in high school, it was like I was better at high school than I was football.
Okay.
Going into college, I was better at ice hockey than I was football.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
So it was a big crossroads for me. I mean, and this goes back. We can go back further to where like my dad's 6'2", and I follow like my dad's whole growth chart, everything like that. I'm like a spitting image of my old man. And in his head, he was like, I was 6'2". He was always really skinny, but he was an offensive lineman, whatever. But he always thought he felt undersized, size-wise and stuff like that in football. So he was like, let me put Nick in hockey and see if he's a better hockey player. Just because he's like, I would be a big hockey player. Right?
You
If
would
I
be
was in the
massive.
throws, I'd be a big hockey player.
You're a big dude.
So he was like, let's see how hockey does and stuff. And obviously it took off. Like I was in love with hockey. Still played football and Pop Warner and all that stuff. But we grew up, like I was a multi-sport. We played a sport every season, right?
Yeah.
There was never a break. It was, you're in travel ice hockey year round,
Mm-hmm.
football season's around, then you're going to go do baseball, then you're going to go do whatever else and stuff like that. But growing up, hockey was the first love, and that was the sport that I attributed all my success to. Just strictly out of toughness and work ethic wise, because I was a late puberty guy.
Yeah.
Like I was really small. Growing up, I was undersized, and I didn't hit puberty till honestly like my junior year of high school. Like my freshman year, I wrestled 135. My sophomore year, I wrestled 145s. My junior year, I wrestled 175, 185.
Oh,
but
you
I was,
blew
but
up.
I was really 160.
Oh,
weighing
wow.
160. I always wrestled up
you
because
wrestled
of
up,
football.
yeah.
I wasn't never cutting. And then my senior year, I weighed 205 but wrestled 215s.
Holy
So like I
smokes.
didn't hit puberty until really late. So and that was the same with hockey growing up. I was always the scrappy small guy. I was always delivering hits because I
Yeah.
wanted to be the physical. I was the enforcer. I was the guy that was like, that corner is mine. If a puck goes in the corner, I'm not letting anyone else out of that
You're
corner
getting it.
without that puck. Like
Yeah.
I was the brawler. I was the contact guy. I was a hitter. And that mentality was me being the scrappy small kid that people like, didn't or took for granted, right, until I got out there and was able to knock dudes out.
Yeah.
And then you have the puberty hit mid high school, and that's when you're like really starting to take souls when you're hitting guys in the
Yeah.
ice. And that's when that was when I developed the confidence with hockey to stick handle, because I was always the assist guy. I was the contact guy. Let me go get the puck. I'll dish it out, all this stuff. But then it was later where I realized my stick handling ability really caught up once I grew. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I could do the physical stuff, and then I could take the puck ice to ice. I'm like, this is a different game now. So that was essentially what I'm getting at is it came to a crossroads because that was when I was really, really coming into hockey, right? I was really loving it. I was really good at it, better than football, you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
But living in California, if you're going to commit to hockey, before high school, you got to ship out, right? You got to go somewhere else. You got to go to Midwest. You got to go to Canada, and you got to start literally living with another family to do these juniors and these tournaments
the
and
juniors and all that
showcase
stuff,
stuff and all that stuff, right? And you would do these showcase tournaments, and you would have interest, from teams and prep schools and all that stuff, right? But it was Midwest or Canada, to where my dad always takes the rap for this because he always says, he always claims he pushed me to do football because he didn't want me to leave, right? So he was always the one that's like, no, I didn't let you pursue hockey, so I made you pursue football, you know what I mean? But it was just one of those things that I was better at hockey going into college football, but I had my offer for college football. And at that point, the hockey dream did die because I knew I was going to commit to football, like sophomore, junior year of high school, because you just have to say goodbye to it. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna play for 1 or 2 more seasons of hockey because I love it that much and I love the guys. But I knew at that point, I'm like, I'm going for a football scholarship. You know what I mean? So that's when it kind of transitioned into football being the primary focus, then you get the scholarship, and then you really start to dive deep into all that type of stuff and what's the best thing to do.
Dude, I could not imagine you being on hockey. Like, you're such a big dude. Could you imagine getting hit by this guy? Like, this is what I always tell Manny, and now I'm so glad that you play in the freaking NFL, but you have a hockey background.
Yeah, so I'm taking hockey dudes over. I'm taking hockey dudes over any NFL player. I'm taking hockey dudes over any
Thank you.
fighter.
He just settled the debate.
It's like one of those things, like, so a couple DBs when I was playing for the Chargers, they nicknamed me Foxhole. Because, like, they're like, if we get in a scrap, anything happens, I want Nick with me. Like, you know, he's our guy in the foxhole. I want him with me. Yeah. And that's where I get hockey from. Because I'm like, no. Hockey players are tough SOBs.
It don't matter how big,
it doesn't
small.
matter. Exactly.
Nope.
I'm like, you put me in an alley with hockey players,
They're
I'm
psycho.
who's there, I'm ready to go.
Hockey players were just nuts.
Yeah.
Like, and I would always try to tell him, he's like, it's not hard to skate. And I was like, bro.
I never said it's not hard to skate.
I basically would tell
that.
him, picture, like, I would be a small NHL player, right? I'm 195 pounds.
Right.
I'm 5'11". I'm not a big dude, but I'm not a small dude.
Right.
I would be tiny. On a football field, I would be non-existent.
Right.
But on
2-inch blades.
a 2-inch butter knife, cutting, skating 30 miles an hour, taking slap shots at 90 miles an hour with a 1 pound puck or whatever it weighs, like all that stuff, the agility, the athleticism, the hand-eye coordination, the strength, stamina, everything. I would put a professional hockey player in some of the best athletic, like, sports out there.
I agree.
Yeah. Well,
Don't go back now. Don't go back now.
No, I just want to clarify.
He has to stay devil's advocate right now.
I want to clarify before Wayne Gretzky or someone is like, hey guys, your guys are douchebags. No, I think they're very athletic, but I think, like, how do you gauge athleticism? You know what I mean? Because people are like, oh, it's not a 40. It's not how much.
No, it's a combination of all skill.
Because now people
you'll see speed with hockey though, and then I don't think the people understand the level of hand-eye coordination you have with hockey.
Yeah,
I mean these dudes are like the trick stuff they do now with hockey, and
insane.
Between the Zegras, putting the puck between his legs and scoring stuff like that
at full speed.
And these guys are like, they're batting the puck in the air in the net too and stuff like that. Like the hand-eye coordination between them, their hands, that stick, and that puck. Yeah. It's impressive what they can do. It's like when you're watching professional soccer, right? You're like, how do these guys do this with a soccer ball?
Yeah,
it's kind of the same where I'm like, how do these guys do this with a freaking puck?
Yeah,
and all these
but
other
I think that's why you got to
mean?
respect, for most fighters. You've been around fighting long enough, where most fighters are not very athletic.
Sure.
Like we couldn't be like, hey, let's go to the park and play a pickup game. Like I luckily can because I grew up playing sports. You know, now there's guys that are and I say this all the time. Like the sport of MMA is just now starting to develop where it's kind of coming into its own and having its own identity, because now guys that are maybe right on the cusp of being like this all-star hockey player, all-star football player are like, well, I can make just as much money in MMA. So now these athletes are starting to train MMA. Like MMA in the next 10 to 15 years is going to be a scary sport.
You're going to see a lot of other
There's
sports
athletes. Look at what Hardy did. Yeah. Greg Hardy coming from an NFL caliber Pro Bowler, not just like an NFL guy, like an all-star. Yeah, picked up MMA so fast, fought in the UFC, won some fights. Like, yeah, sure, he ended up getting cut, but he didn't have like a bunch of amateur fights to get used to it. Right. He went right into it, and it's scary to think where that sport is going to head. And I think to the point I'm trying to make is, I think you have to have respect for every athlete, because you can't. It won't always translate. Those skills won't always translate to something else. Right. Me, because of how stubborn I am, you can call it that. Like, I really believe, like, oh yeah, if I practice every day for like a year straight in tennis, I can go be a badass tennis player. And that might not be true. Right. But in my head, I'm like, no, I could do that because of the dedication that I've put into other sports and the caliber, and the level that I've competed at. I'm like, no, I can. But to go back to your story.
Let's get back to your story.
I'm really curious, like when you went because of hockey and then transitioning to football and then hitting puberty, did that confidence translate to football? Because you had it in hockey, did it translate all over?
It was always the same between either sport, right? I was a scrappy kid in hockey. I was a scrappy kid in football because I still grew up playing football. I still love football.
Yeah.
But I was a physical. Me and my little brother, we were like physical kids.
Yeah.
Like it was. My dad has a story of I had an older friend, or we had family friends, and there was an older kid who was in Mighty Might football or whatever, and I was too young to play. But we went and watched his practice, and I remember I saw him hitting each other, and I looked at my dad and I said, "Dad, are these kids hitting each other and they're not getting in trouble?" And he said, "Yeah, do you think you'd want to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, can I go now?" And that was essentially when it took off to where, okay, we'll do football next year. I'm going to still do hockey. But that was the physical aspect of me hitting people, not getting in trouble. Like, that was ingrained in me for whatever reason, whether it was just me and my dad and brother wrestling 24/7 at home or whatever it might be. But that was when that was definitely like, where it started and stuff like that. And then you're just like, yeah, I like being physical. I like hitting people. Like, these two sports are going to be perfect for me. You know what I mean? So that always coincided. But the success I had with football, I attribute to hockey strictly based on toughness and work ethic and attitude. Because I think hockey players are incredibly, incredibly tough, really, really fierce competitors. Work ethic is off the charts to where, like, I don't know. I always took it so personal in any level of sport that I was at, with football, hockey, anything. Like, if a teammate tapped out and like he was hurt, sprained an ankle, whatever it was, it always bothered me when they wouldn't play. I was like, I don't care if you're hurt. I really don't care if you're hurt. I'm hurt too. It doesn't matter. Like, if you could walk, if you could do this stuff, like, do it. It's a shoulder. You don't need your shoulders to run, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, I always held a grudge against people that sat out. And don't get me wrong, there were serious injuries and stuff like that. To where, like, it's a serious injury, I get it. You know what I mean? But if you're telling me it's a sprain or something like that, or I see you sitting out of practice 2 or 3 times a week and then you play in the game, like, dude, you don't deserve to be out there with me. What are you talking about?
How was that modeled for you? Because like, who held you accountable? Because I don't think that's something that just, I mean, maybe it is.
It's probably my dad. It was probably my dad. And it was probably my dad because I think growing up, if I saw people, laying on the ice rink or laying on the turf if they got hurt and they were out there, I always felt like that was a sign of weakness that I always hated. And I always told myself, or my dad, or we always taught, like, if I'm hurt, I don't care. I'm getting off the field or I'm getting off the ice rink. Like, I had a spiral fracture in my leg playing a showcase hockey tournament. My freshman year, going into my freshman year, I had a spiral tibia fracture. Skated off. My ankle's going the other way. But I skated off, and I'm in so much pain. And I'm like, I know this showcase tournament cost money to show off my skills, right? And I'm like, I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to see if I can keep going. Whistle blows. I go back out on the ice, and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't skate right now. And then, sure enough, you go get an x-ray, and you're like, oh, yeah, you fractured your growth plate in half, and you have a spiral fracture all the way up your leg and stuff like that. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm glad I made it off the rink because no one saw me lay on the ice.
Yeah.
That was like my big takeaway. I didn't lay on the ice. I was able to get off the rink and do that. And then it's just kind of something that's like, fast forward to the NFL or college. Like, I've torn my elbow in college. I'm not going to lay on the field. And this is funny in the NFL too, because NFL is just a chess match. It's just a chess match between offense and defense, coordinators versus coordinators. Like, it's a pretty simple game. Yeah. The quarterback wants to catch us in a different coverage than what he thinks we're in, and we're trying to disguise the coverage we're in to get them off guard, right? It's pretty simple and stuff, but there are a lot of times and scenarios in the high school level and everything too, like, if an offense is driving on you and your defense is tired, you might have a guy take a fall, right? And like, claim a cramp. claim a cramp so we can get to a break and we can rotate some guys out. You know what I mean?
No comment.
But me, I was still never about that. Like, I tore my ACL my second year in the NFL, and it was still same thing. I still was able to hobble off the field because I didn't want anyone to come out and give me aid. I was like pissed off if a trainer came out.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to year 5, my last season with the Chargers, I mean, people might not find this funny. I find it funny. But it was against the Broncos. It was like the last game, I think, or one of the last games of the season. And I'm coming down on kickoff, and I shed my blocker, and I read it perfectly. I'm like, oh, perfect. Make a nice tackle right here. And I come in like this, and he delivers a hit right here on my jaw, and I'm lights out. So I get knocked out unconscious, and that's when I seized up out there on the field, right? And I remember coming to face down in the grass, and I could hear my teammate yelling my name, like, Nick, yo, what's up? Get up, zip. You know, I'm like, and I'm coming to, and then the trainers were on top of me at that point, and I was like, oh no. I'm like, it felt like the trainers were out there really fast, so I must have been knocked out, right? And then I remember the first thing thinking was, am I allowed to cuss on this? Yeah. So I remember thinking, like, get the fuck off me. I don't want your help. And I'm like pushing the trainers, and they're like, stay down. Like, they wanted to get a stretcher out there because it was a head injury and all this shit like that. I'm like, get the fuck off me right now. And then I trot off the sideline. I'm like, you can talk to me now. I'm not gonna go out in the field and be babied like I'm really hurt. You know what I mean? But really, I just got knocked unconscious. You know what I mean? And it was just still like, I don't want the limelight on me showing me any form of weakness at all. Like, because that's what I wasn't that to my teammates. I was the tough son of a gun that I would do anything for my teammates. I really would. Like, I didn't care what the coaches thought, the trainers thought. The coaches could be mad because I didn't take a fall or, you know, lay on the side for a second, whatever it was. I'm like, I'm not doing this to impress coaches. I'm doing this to impress my teammates because they're the ones I'm out there with.
Yeah.
So it was always one of those things, and I think it was like a compliment or something like that. But Melvin Ingram, who was very good DN, longtime Charger. He's played with a couple different teams these past couple of years, but I remember him. He was always very supportive of me and stuff like that. And I remember him telling another teammate, like, when I was like hobbling off after I got knocked out, he's like, look at how pissed Nick is just because he just got hurt. He's so pissed he can't play right now. And that was like the stuff that stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want my teammates to remember me for. Like,
well, I think they will.
Yeah, you know, and that's what you hope, right? And that was like just always the mindset and mentality I always took towards, you know, anything, right? But sports specifically was a big deal for me.
Yeah. When did you, going a little bit back to high school, we don't have to dive super deep into it. When did you start getting looked at? Like, when did you know, like, okay, I can really take this to the next level?
It was probably my junior year. Probably my junior year because, like I said, I was a small guy. You know, I was still playing and, like, starting here and there at linebacker and stuff like that, but I was still the small guy. Junior year, I was finally, like, a starter, you know what I mean? But then it wasn't really till senior year to where I didn't get offered till, like, early senior season, I think, during the football season.
Okay.
You know, and this was back when with Coach Johnson and like, he was always really good with seniors and stuff like that. Like, the amount of guys that he put in college, you know, as far as recruiting, he would bring coaches in. He would sit all the seniors down that he thought could compete at the next level. He'd bring their parents in and say, look, give me the schools you're interested in. Give me the schools you think you want to go for education-wise and football-wise if you can compete, and I'll tell you if I think you can do it or not. And then I'm going to do my best to try and do it, right? And my dad graduated Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. He graduated there. He walked on and did a little football for maybe a year, but he didn't end up sticking with it. My grandparents retired up in Atascadero, which is up on the Central Coast, right near it. So I grew up going to Cal Poly. Loved Cal Poly, loved the Central Coast. And from day one, that's all that's where I wanted to play. Like, you had the Michigans, I had Colorado, you know, I had CU on my list and stuff like that. But Cal Poly offered me, and that was always my number one school, because in my head when I was coming into that junior, senior year where I was really competing, leading the league or team in tackles and, you know, one of the MVPs of the county and all whatever that type stuff was, I was like, if I go to Cal Poly, one, I'm going to get a tremendous education. I think a smaller school was better for me personality-wise. And then I was always like, I would much rather be a 4-year starter at a smaller school than a 1-year starter at a USC or UCLA and do all that stuff. So that was a motivator for me to go to Cal Poly. And then, you know, the rest is kind of history. But, yeah, I mean, Cal Poly was an educational thing and more of like I love it up there anyway. Why wouldn't I go do that and compete there and see what happens, you know? And then Cal Poly is just such a smaller school to where you have a couple guys, you know, get a shot every year in the NFL. You'll have a couple guys here and there, you know, that'll stand out and maybe get drafted and stuff like that. But yeah, my whole thing was be a big fish in a little pond and you'll get noticed. And then, you know, it worked out.
Did you have NFL aspirations going into college, like knowing that you were going to a smaller school?
Yeah. Because then at that point, you always have the aspirations, right? You always have the dream of all that stuff. And you're like, look, I competed at a high level here at arguably one of the best high school, you know, public school competition football level. You know what I mean? I felt pretty good going into college and stuff. But that's when you see the maturity level of growth with players and guys where you're like, I just hit puberty and this dude is, you know what I mean? He's a senior in college football. I'm like, this guy's just growth and stuff like that, just so much bigger and more mature than me. You know what I mean? But it was like a big jump as far as like competition level wise. Like you just think like everyone's bigger and faster, and it's the same
from high school to college.
From high school to college, I would arguably say the jump from high school to college is bigger than the college in the NFL.
Dang.
Because everyone in the NFL is going to be the top guys at their college, but like NFL to college, it's just still guys still competing to where they're just doing it for love of the game. You know what I mean? To where I feel like that was a bigger jump than it was for the NFL, from college to the NFL for sure.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
What was it like? I'm always curious about, do you compete at one of the highest levels, right, in your sport? Like
Sure.
that's freaking insane in any sport. Any sport, Manny. Doesn't matter. It doesn't. I don't care what it is. If you can get to the professional level in anything you're doing, even in business, if you get to a certain level, you're just thinking at a different pace. You're moving at a different pace. You're reacting. Your thought process, your mental, your body, everything is just at a different pace.
Right.
Like, what did it feel like to you to go from when you knew you were going to make it? Like, kind of talk us through that, because not very many people will understand what that's like.
No, it's an emotional roller coaster, because we can get into more of like even just the emotional roller coaster you have with free agency and just fighting to compete for a job once you're in the NFL. Like the story of the NFL, they say what it stands for is not for long. Like that's what the NFL stands for. Like I think the career expectancy is less than 3 years.
Yeah.
Dang.
Because of injuries and guys come in and out and stuff like that. But like everyone, and even me growing up, you look at any professional athlete, you're like, these guys are loaded, they're rich forever, they're all this stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then you get to the NFL, and then you're like, dude, this is crazy. They're cutting guys left and right. Do I ever feel safe? You know what I mean? But like getting to the NFL, I wasn't invited to the combine. I wasn't invited to any all-star game, anything like that, which I think I was snubbed on a lot of stuff because I was a standout in college, you know what I mean? And all that stuff. And I really felt like if you wanted a smaller school guy, I should have been there. You know what I mean? So anyway, you have a pro day at your college, right? And that was when I kind of went off on my pro day, because you have scouts talk to you throughout the junior, senior season, from the NFL, and they take interest and watch your film and have you fill out things and whatever. And that's when you find your agent. And then that's when your pro day is like your day to show off, Anything these guys doubted on you, that's when you're like, okay, let me go show you I can do what you say I can't do, right? And I had a really, really good pro day, great pro day with maybe 15 to 20 NFL scouts there, which was a lot for Cal Poly. And we had a lot of other seniors doing the pro day also, but it went really, really well, and I felt really confident leaving that saying, look, at the very least, I'm going to get a shot. I'm going to get an opportunity in the NFL. You're hoping late rounds. Let me get a late round pick with a team, right? Gives you a little more boost of confidence, But I wasn't drafted. I was undrafted to the Chargers, and it's funny because it's political in the sense that like if you go undrafted, then you have a list of your own teams. And like if this team calls, this team calls, this team calls, we should go here because of their roster here. And this team drafted this person here, so we should go here. It kind of comes into that a little bit, but we went with the Chargers because we felt like they showed the most interest. You know what I mean? They were the first team to call me, and then there was however handful of teams called after the Chargers. You know what I mean? But still, we went with the Chargers, and it was good and stuff. But the funny thing is growing up, this might crush some people's dreams, to be honest, but growing up, I was always taught and told, what you put in is what you're going to get out, work ethic wise, and you can't be denied playing time if you're better, better than someone or work harder than someone, stuff like that. But the higher you get up, the more political it gets when it comes. I'm sure it's in every sport and every business too.
Yeah.
The more political it gets when coaches do favors for other players. Coaches might specifically draft someone above you, and no matter how bad that person is, they're going to play that dude. It doesn't matter, because if you don't, it's going to make them look bad, or vice versa, or upper management and the GM level. There's a lot of politics that go into any professional sport, and that's something that I was not prepared for at all when you join the NFL. And then that's what I'm more referring to when you see guys getting cut, 5-year NFL vets getting cut for a younger player. I mean, I was one of them. I was a young guy. When you're an undrafted dude, the team is set. You have to go steal someone's job, right? And that's what it was for me. And I remember, talking to a couple older guys that played with me at Cal Poly that also had shots and stuff, and they told me like, look, don't be intimidated by anyone from Alabama or any draft pick or anything like that. Like, at the end of the day, it's just football. You've been doing it your whole life. You can compete with these guys. And I remember my first training camp in the NFL, undrafted. You're like, I got to prove something. If I want to stick, I got to do something, right? And that was when it really, really took off for me, because that's when I really was doing the same stuff I've been doing in college, but that's when it really took off for me as far as like where I attribute the hockey mindset, stuff like that, to where we would do workouts, and in my head I'm thinking, this is professional athletes. These guys are competing at the highest level, right? So they have to be just as hard of a worker as I am. And then we start doing these workouts and these conditioning tests, and that's when I'm like, oh, wait a second, I can outwork these dudes. Like, they're complacent, right? They've been in the league. They're complacent, right? And that was where I found out I could outwork these guys and do stuff to stand out. And then I tell this to young guys all the time, like undrafted guys, younger guys still just trying to scrap and make a name for yourself. Like, I got into so many fights on the football field my undrafted rookie year that, like, I made a name for myself with, like, just management people and office people working at the facility. Like, I knew my name was getting around when, again, it was wrestling and game of leverage, but like I would hip and I would head and arm throw a lot of guys. I would just hip toss dudes. Oh, linemen, yeah, but like running backs, anyone that was blocking me, and I'll admit when a guy he got the better position, he's blocking me, he's got me cinched up. Like, okay, you got it. But it would always bug me when like the whistle blew and this guy was still driving his feet, and I've clearly stopped. You know what I mean? He keeps going. You want to keep running your feet? Okay, let me do a quick toss, right? And I'll put you on your ass, and then I'm gonna laugh at you.
Yeah.
You know. And this happened with a running back. He blocked me good, stuff like that. I said, okay, it's done. Stop. And I ended up throwing him. It was just a really good toss to where his feet were up in the air. You know what I mean? And I knew I made a name for myself when security guards around the facility came up to me and started talking to me about it. I'm like, oh, if these guys are watching the film of this stuff, like someone's got to be, making notes of this. You know what I mean?
Do you think you would have had the same amount, not just with hockey, but that chip on your shoulder if you would have gone to a Michigan or Alabama or big time football school, because everyone there's kissing your ass and it's catering to you? Not that they're not at Cal Poly,
right,
but it's just at a different level.
No, I think I would have kept the same mentality. I think I've always been a self-motivated person.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of guys in the NFL that train with certain people in the off season, go pay for training, or their agent will pay for it, and they'll get free training and stuff like that. But I was never one to pay anyone to train me. I was more of I know what works best for my body. I'm in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, I know what I have to do. I know what I have to do to compete and condition and get my body ready. So, like, I never wanted to pay anyone to do that. So I always felt like I was more self-motivated than maybe other people. Like, other people need that.
For sure.
Other people need that schedule, and I get that too. But I was always more self-motivated. And this is actually kind of a funny thing. I'm curious what you guys think, but it's like a very interesting question is, are you afraid of, do you enjoy winning? Would you rather win, or are you afraid to lose? And I'm afraid to lose.
I mean, I could see both. I think in a sport like MMA, for sure, you're afraid to lose. Because that momentum, if you lose, you can lose that momentum. Just people are going to forget about you.
There's that aspect of me. I'm more like, I'm afraid to lose because I should win, right? Like the confidence you have, like I should win. If I don't win, I'm embarrassed. Like, right? And if I do win, I'm not celebrating like I just won the Super Bowl, unless you win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? But it's like, no, I should have won. It's expected. I should have won. I've done this a million times. I'm not going to act like this is my forever, right? So I always, growing up, that was always weirdly my mindset, where me and my dad, after a hockey game, if we lost, I could have a hat trick, but I'd still be furious because my team lost, right? And I was like, I never cared to win. I was always afraid to lose.
Yeah.
Well, I think from my aspect, at least in my perspective, it's the preparation. The preparation gives you that confidence.
Yeah.
That's why you have it. You expect to win because of the way you prepared. You prepare properly. You train properly. You eat right. You train. You watch film. You're doing all the proper steps, so you hold yourself to a higher standard.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's like, even in business, Ben has the experience now that he's working on another venture.
Yeah.
In a field that he had before, he should expect to win because he knows all the negative things or the bad things that happened in that previous venture that was in the same industry. Yeah. He is now experienced And so that prepared him, and now the success that he's had with his other business, he can now take those both of those experiences and pour it into this new venture. You know,
Sure.
And so if he wins, he's not gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm so happy.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, well, no, I'm more experienced
exactly.
now. It should be happening.
100%.
Right.
It's part of what you do.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I want the reason I asked that question is because you see a lot of guys that are not so much now, but for a little bit like a Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
You know, that went to South Dakota or North Dakota State.
Yeah.
You see guys that come from these lower D1 or D2 schools, and they play with a chip on their shoulder because no one kissed their ass.
Yeah.
And because they always have something to prove.
Right.
Do you think that's what they're doing when they have, like, you know, because I've heard from guys in the NFL that they have guys come in every week for tryouts.
Yeah. No, they cycle guys in every week.
But does that keep you motivated as someone that's rostered?
It keeps you motivated. Like I said, I mean, guys will get cut every single week.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like I said earlier, the league stands for not for long. Like,
yeah.
Your rookie. I remember my rookie year. You have so much anxiety, right? Because you're the undrafted guy. You probably barely made the team. You fought your way for a spot, and now you got to keep that spot. It's like if you slip up, if you mess up, your confidence is shot because you're like, they're going to replace me. They're going to find someone else. You know what I mean? And that's where the hard work. That's why I've had such success in special teams. That kind of mindset, right? Because that was my niche. I carved out that niche. Like I knew I wanted to play linebacker so bad, and I think I could have competed at the very high level and made a lot of money if I had an opportunity. You know, but special teams is where I carved my niche, and that's where I've made my career. But it was because I wasn't afraid to do special teams the way other guys are afraid to do special teams. You know what I mean?
Do you think it's like below them?
Maybe if you're drafted, sure. If you're drafted, you don't have that chip on your shoulder, you know, and you come out of a certain school, Ohio State, where you're like, I'm too good for this. Why am I not playing defense? I'm too good to go on punt team. To where you have the hungry dude that's like, I'm gonna F you up. I don't give a shit where the hell you came from. You know what I mean? Like I always took pride in if I was on special teams and I knew I was going against a guy that was drafted before me or anything like that, any type of level that I could find competition at, I'm like, I'm gonna embarrass this guy. I have to beat this guy and I have to try to embarrass him. And usually,
which is good.
Usually it worked out in my favor. Got me 7 years.
How'd you deal with? I mean, I would deem it as rejection. You know what I mean? Like you've been so loyal to a team.
Yeah.
You're training your butt off. You're there every day.
Right.
You go to all the meetings, and then now you find yourself as a free agent. And you have to sign with another team. Like, how'd you deal with that transition from the Chargers to the Titans?
Free agency sucks. It really does. I mean, it doesn't necessarily suck if you're a top 10 pick and you have great 4 years and you're coming and you're like, I'm about to get paid, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you just come off of an 8-sack season or 10-sack season and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna get paid. You know what I mean? When you were in my position, I shouldn't say plan this out perfectly. It just worked out for me to where my second year, so I was undrafted, so I only had a 3-year deal. If you're drafted, you have a 4-year deal. If you're undrafted, you get a 3-year deal. Rookie year was good. I think I led the team in special teams tackles, and that was me being naive, not really understanding how important special teams was, right? You know what I mean? But it was like, oh no, you led the team in special teams tackles. That's really big. And I was like, oh, is it? Oh, okay, cool. But you don't track that stuff. You're young, you don't care, right? Then the second year, I started to carve out some roles at linebacker. I was playing more linebacker, but then I tore my ACL. They claim I partially tore it week 1, played on it, and then fully tore it week 4.
Wow.
You know, had surgery week 6. But then this is where you get into the politics of stuff to where I'm rehabbing an ACL. And this year we had everyone drop with ACLs and Achilles. I had Danny Woodhead, Keenan Allen, Jason Verrett, Manti Te'o. Like we had a room of dudes rehabbing ACLs and Achilles. But anyway, you go into year 3, and it was a brand new coaching staff. So you had a brand new coaching staff, didn't know anything about me, other than film that they watched me play linebacker for the first 4 weeks of my second season on a torn ACL. So like they already labeled me as kind of slow white dude, just that typical category. Oh, he's a hard worker, smart, but he's just not the speed we need right now, you know. But I'm like, you're basing me off of playing with a torn ACL. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. To where my 3rd year, I think I led the league in special teams tackles, and that was my contract year, right? So that was when you feel good going to free agency where I'm like, if the Chargers don't sign me, someone's going to sign me. I signed a 2-year extension with the Chargers, and that was when he felt really good. When I left the Chargers, though, after 5 seasons total, I knew it was kind of time. You know, I felt like it was time. I felt like I was afraid to sign back with the Chargers after my third season because I was afraid the coaches still weren't going to give me an opportunity at linebacker. Like in my whole mind, like I love special teams. I've made a career out of special teams, but I still want to play linebacker because I know I can better than these guys, right?
Yeah.
I still want to compete and do this. And I thought that if they paid me a little, you know, with my second contract with the Chargers, which, you know, they did. They gave me, you know, whatever nice little contract they gave me for 2 years. I was like, okay, they have to give me a shot at linebacker now, right? They have to. Like they're paying you. They're giving me a little bit of money, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I'm still gonna do special teams, but like, I could do linebacker too. And now it's like they have to give me at least a shot, right? And it never really happened for me, to where I kind of grew bitter, you know. And then once you lead the league in special teams tackles, you got a target on your back from every team, right? Every coach is scouting you, and everyone's like, we're doubling this guy. There's no doubt. We're not letting this guy get the tackle. So then you have 2 years of like getting double teamed every single kickoff and every single punt, and you're trying to figure out ways to get back in the mix because it's kind of funny because special teams tackles are like similar to sacks, right? Like, if you average a tackle a game on special teams, you'll be top 3, you know, in the league on special teams tackles, you know. So you kind of start to like, it's very important, you know what I mean? Like you have a 3 special team tackle game, like you're going to get special teams player of the week and all that stuff, and it's just big. But then fast forward through those 2 years where you're just getting double teamed and you're kind of the fall guy for other guys that succeed, which they did, which was cool. Then you kind of get frustrated with the situation, not getting linebacker looks, all the stuff like that. And then it's kind of set in stone, you know, as far as the season and all that stuff. But I felt slighted about that. And after that second year with the Chargers, like I don't think we even bothered to talk to the Chargers to negotiate, really. You know what I mean? It was just like more like, I think it was mutually time was up there. I had 5 very good years there. I was very happy with it. And then, I mean, the miracle of the whole thing is like, I went to Mississippi High School. Like, it was crazy that the Chargers were down in San Diego, and I could literally drive 45 minutes, and I'm playing for an NFL team, right? I'm in my hometown, essentially. Then they move up to L.A., but really we're in Costa Mesa. I'm like, I'm even closer to home now. Like, this is nuts. Like, you know, what do I have to complain about? I played 5 years in my backyard in the NFL, right?
Yeah, it's insane.
So you put that into perspective, and you're like, because I've had buddies that tell me, like, you've had so much luck, you know, with your career and stuff like that. And I'm like, first off, fuck you. Kiss my ass, bro. You know, and he's like, and, you know, then he lays it out. It's like, no, he's like, I don't mean that. Like, you work hard and everything, like, but, like, to be with a California team, a Southern California team for 5 years, you know.
For sure.
Which was big. But I think the real free agency frustration happened when I left the Chargers and then joined the Titans, you know what I mean? I was happy to join the Titans and everything like that, but you always want more money, right? You always, you always know your worth, but frankly, it's the.
I feel like you gotta like prove yourself over.
It's that, and then it's their job to get you as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Business.
It's business, and it's their job to get you for as little money as possible.
It just sounds like anxiety
all over the place. It is. I'm talking to guys right now. Like I'm a year out of the league, so I understand it's free agency is an emotional roller coaster. If you're past 5 years, and you're kind of like a teamer guy, a kind of a role guy, like if you're not, you know, a dude, you're not going to get picked up, right? There's a lot of guys chomping at the bit to compete and take your place, and they're always looking for younger and cheaper. Always.
Because every guy has that mentality, like, oh yeah, I'll be cheap for a couple years, and once I prove myself, I'll get paid.
Right.
And it's like, well, okay, well, you're just being recycled.
It's a revolving door. They're always looking for younger and cheaper, especially with special teams, which you get. You know what I mean? But Titans were really good. Coach Ackerman, who was their special teams coordinator, was actually my coordinator with the Chargers for the first 2 years.
Oh, that's cool.
So we had that relationship. So we always communicated and talked and stuff that. And that was a big motivator for me to go there. They gave me a 1-year deal, but it was nothing special. It was just like hey, come play with us for another year. You know what I mean? And you're like, God dang. Like, you know, all the talks you have with your agent, and you go back to the combine, and all the positive talks you hear from teams at the combine, you're like, well, where are all the teams that showed so much interest at the combine? What happened to them? You know what I mean?
How'd you deal with that? How'd you deal with all the ups and downs?
It's so hard. I mean, my wife and my dad, you know, and probably a little less now, you know, my dad more my wife. Like I vent to her so much about so much frustration. Like she understands everything that I'm going through and knows everything about the process and all this stuff. That's like awesome. That. And she's not like on the phone, but if I'm calling my agent, it's usually on speaker and she's listening in, you know what I mean? So we have certain questions and stuff like that. But she's like, yeah, she's been like such a rock for me to vent to someone to where like just so many frustrations come and go. And I talk to a lot of guys that are free agents right now that, you know, are coming off of still playing, but now they're like trying to get another contract. Yeah. To where you talk to them and I try to talk to them as kind of the older vet guy who's been through it 2 or 3 times. Like, it's an emotional roller coaster. Your attitude can change so quickly. You could feel so low during a day and then so high. You can get a glimmer of hope with it because a team called and showed some interest, but nothing happens with it. You know, there's just so high, so low, to where I kind of tell these guys a lot, like, look, every year in the NFL, regardless of what you make, everyone wants to make a lot of money, but each year in the NFL is a come up. Like, there's no question. Like, the resources you have another year for, you know, 401k, workers' comp, all this benefits you have later on in life, like, just keep stacking these years up. No matter what the deal is, it doesn't matter, you know, unless you're really set and you're ready to walk away. But it's very rare for someone to leave the NFL on their own terms, right? Yeah. You know, I mean, unless you're Phillip Rivers or you're a star and stuff like that, no one wants to stop playing. It's a kid's game that people don't want to stop playing. It's very rare for people to walk away from and say, I'm good, I'm hanging it up. You got to be an all-star to do that. And if you're not, I still want to play. I still want to compete. I still want to take some dude's head off. You know what I mean? Like, there's no question. Like, and this whole year I think was really frustrating for me because this was the first season I wasn't with a team, right? And going into training camp, you're like, I'll get picked up by someone. So an injury is going to happen. They're going to be done with the young guys. They want to bring in a vet, knows what the heck they're going to do, pick up the defense quick, run stuff, do whatever you need. And I was like, it's going to happen. I'll get a call. You know, season goes by. I had one workout with the Seahawks, maybe week 3 or week 4, which was another emotional roller coaster because I, you know, fly out there. There's 3 or 4 other guys out there. They put us through a workout. They had us run a 40. I'm like, I'm 31 years old. You want me to run a 40-yard dash? Like, a 40-yard dash is all about your start. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I haven't trained for this in 8 years, and you want to time my 40? And the funny thing is when they're like, you know, we just want to see you run. We're not going to time it. I'm like, why are there 7 guys with clocks? Yeah. What are you talking about? You know, but I felt like I had a really good workout and stuff like that, but they didn't end up signing me. And then you fast forward through the whole rest of the season thinking, okay, well, the Seahawks called. It'll get someone on their radar. I'll get a call. And then you start circling back with all your ex-coaches that you have with this team and this team and this team. And you start just hitting them up. It's like, hey, I'm more looking for your honest feedback. Like, is it time to hang it up? Is it time? Like, the thing with the NFL is you don't get closure, right? You know, like any professional sport, you don't get closure. So it's like, it's still a dream. I know I could still compete. I'm still 230. I'm still ready to take some dude's head off. I know I could beat any dude you have on the field lined up against me. But is it stupid to push off another career or something else I want to pursue for that possibility? But I've already been through it for a year. So it's like you kind of, throughout the season, it's extremely frustrating. Stress levels high, low. And then I think about the midway season, I really switched my mindset to where it was like, it's okay. I've played 7 awesome years in the NFL. I have nothing to complain about. I've had 5 years with the Chargers, 2 with the Titans. Like, we loved living in Nashville. We have so many great memories with my first daughter in Nashville. You know what I mean? And you'd start to like put things into perspective that way, and you're like, what do I have to complain about? You know what I mean? It's like the looking over at someone else. Like, even right now on Instagram, you have so many free agents getting signed. I'm like, that dude got an extension. I'm like, this guy, like, I love competing with him. He's a stud, but I'm equal with him or better. Yeah. I'm like, and they couldn't extend me. So it comes into, there's politics that come into it. There's luck. Luck comes into it a lot. And then there's this, you know, organization-wise, like maybe an organization's more loyal than another organization, right? Yeah. To where it could be something like that, where you don't understand that until you're in the league or out of the league. You know, but there's like a really great saying, you know, that the coach with the Chargers, D coordinator, Gus Bradley, he would always say. He was a great speaker and stuff like that, and really good motivator, but it's control what you can control, right? It's like I found myself to be so pissed off, so stressed out over shit I had no control over, right? Literally no control over. I'm getting pissed at my agent. I'm getting pissed at these teams. I'm getting pissed at everyone, you know, but I have no control over it. So what do I really have to be upset about? Like,
it's good though to keep pursuing it because you don't want to be 40, 45. I wish I would have.
No, I know.
It's good. I think you've had the experience, and I think with age, obviously, comes maturity.
Yeah.
You've had those experiences. You're grateful for them, and I think it's good to always stay ready, but don't let that hold you back from pursuing something else.
Because like the same like mindset and mentality, like I've kind of been talking about, like I've had a year off of not doing anything, right? Yeah. Other than working out in my garage and going to a public turf field by myself and running. Yeah. Like, dude, there's only so many times I could wake up at 5 a.m., get a garage workout, look myself in the mirror, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What am I doing this for? You know what I mean? Where you just start to get drained from that type of stuff to where you're just like, man, what are we doing right now at this point? You know what I mean? And then, but you never know at the same time. Like I know plenty of guys that have taken a year off and then they get a call and they come back. I
think stay ready, but also start pursuing other things.
That's where I'm kind of at, because like I'm just not a sit down guy. Like I need to be doing something. Like I was telling you earlier, like you go from playing any level of sport in college, high school, or professionally, like you're so strictly scheduled and regimented. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then to be done, you get lost, right? Like I remember calling my wife, she was my fiance at the time. We're like high school sweethearts. We've been together forever, but
that's right.
But cool. It was after my rookie year. It's so interesting. The rookie year is such a learning experience, right? You have no idea what to expect. You're learning from vets. You know what I mean? But I remember the season ended, right? It's just you have your exit interviews after the season, and that's it. And you're just like, okay, what do we do now? I'm like, whatever the hell you want to do. I don't know. You're done until training camp or fall or OTAs start in the spring. Like you're good. You know what I mean? And I remember like going to my apartment in like Mission Valley and like going to the grocery store, and I was like so hung up on like what bread to choose. Like I was like, I remember calling my wife and I'm like, I literally can't decide what I should make for dinner. Like I had a mental like breakdown to where I'm like, I can't even think right now for myself, because you're just so,
because you didn't have to.
You never had to. You're so scheduled. And then like going from college football, your senior year, you finish your season strictly into combine pro day training for that whole rest of the season, worrying about school. You're strictly scheduled, diet, everything is train, pro day, training camp, football season, done. You're like, what? Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to do right now, And then it kind of gets that, but that's kind of where I'm at. Not like that severe, but you know what I mean? Like, I have 2 beautiful girls at home, but I'm like, me and my wife joke, like, I'm not a stay-at-home dad. I'm not a stay-at-home dad. Like, she has more patience than me. I need to get out and do something. I'm like itching to just pursue something else because I'm still competitive, right? You're still itching to do something and compete.
What would you do in a perfect world? Say you've come, whatever. Yeah. You play 3 more years. Right. Now you're 10-year vet. You're done. Done. Yeah. In a perfect world, what would you do, or what would you be doing? What would you pursue?
I think it's tough because it always comes down to how long you play and how much money you make, right? And it depends on where you're living. If you're living in Tennessee or Texas or California, there's a different level. There's a different number you need in your head, right?
Yeah.
So it's like obviously living in California, you're like, I need a bigger number, But like me and my wife and even my parents, we've purchased avocado groves out in Temecula area. That were good for us and great for us tax purpose wise, a lot of great write-offs for what we were making when we were in the NFL, which is the motivation for all that stuff. So we have that going. We're looking to sell one right now actually and get into different real estate and kind of just diversify more portfolio type stuff. Real estate's always good. But it always depends on how much money you make and what your base level of lifestyle is at, right? I'm like, okay, I'm very comfortable living off this, so that's my goal, right? Yeah. But then I just feel like that's not going to be my goal because I know the level of competition and stuff like that. Like I'm not going to go to a 9-to-5 and clock in and out and this is my yearly salary. I just don't see that. I have to do something where it's kind of betting on myself, competing wise, and like how much work I put in is what I'm going to get out. There's no limit. There's no ceiling, right? Where I'm like, it's got to be something like that.
Yeah. I say, but you have. The cool thing about what you've gone through is you have that mentality. Not everyone has it, man. I don't care how many freaking self-help books you read, how many motivational speakers you love. Like, it doesn't matter. Some people have it and some don't, unfortunately.
Well, and it's the same with like leadership too, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there are captains on the team, but they're captains because they're really good players. I mean, and I believe that there's certain people that are more, let me show you how to do it, but they're not verbal. And I believe that that's positive too. But like leadership, which is what I've learned from my father, leadership is something that can't really be taught. You kind of develop it or have it from a young age, and you're comfortable motivating people, talking to people, being the loud person, and doing what needs to be done for the team and stuff like that. And there's other people that just can't do it. It's just not a part of them personality-wise, and that's totally fine. But I just see myself as being more of a motivator, speaker, outright person, and everything was always motivated, goal-driven wise, right? Everything always had an end to a goal. Like I was like I was a student class president every year in high school because my goal was to play college football, and if that was one more thing that's going to set me apart from someone else, then I'm going to do it to set myself apart from someone else. Like there was always goals in the back of my mind that I had to do this, this, and this to get to this, and that's essentially what I'm looking forward to now pursuing in a second career. So there is excitement as far as like I just need closure from the NFL to like really like do it, but I don't think you ever get it, and it's just kind of one of those things where
it's rare. It's rare to get it in any sport. Yeah. Especially like MMA. People always say you end up, face down, ass up. Yeah. Most of the time you just you stay too long. Right. You get knocked down.
It's going to end up bad, right.
Yeah. I mean, there's very few guys. Mark Munoz is one of them that got to retire the perfect way.
Exactly. It's very
in
rare.
the Philippines. Yep. Fight in front of his people and doing all that. But on that note, we wish you nothing but success.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. And where can people find you?
Social media.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Nick Dzubnar, just pretty much anything. Social media, Instagram, Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, just Nick Dzubnar. There's nothing that special.
All right. Nice. I'm a Raiders fan. Yeah. The Raiders need some backers. Yeah, there's one right here.
That'd be pretty sick to play at that stadium, though.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Well, there's always pipe dreams of what team you want to play for. After you play for a while, like, I'd really like to go to this team.
All right, guys, make sure to go follow them. Go reach out if you have any questions or do you want to just say hi, what's up? Yep. Ben, another great episode. Nick, thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate it, guys. It was awesome.
And remember, guys, that everything was impossible until someone did it.